Fear visits all of us, often uninvited, especially when the future feels uncertain. The question is not whether fear will come, but whether it will lead us or teach us. Scripture offers a steady, compassionate response to uncertainty that remains deeply relevant today. Welcome to Speaking from the Heart, folks. I'm Richard Fontanie, and this is where we explore timeless wisdom and practical truth for everyday living from a gospel and a universal values perspective. Today, we're talking about managing fear and uncertainty through Scripture, focusing on one of the most repeated invitations found in the Bible. Do not be afraid. These words were spoken in moments of danger, transition, and deep uncertainty. They were not meant to remove responsibility or deny reality, but to redirect the heart toward trust, courage, and faithful action in daily choices. Before we continue, if these conversations encourage you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Subscribing helps others discover our messages and ensures you never miss an episode focused on faith, wisdom, and practical living. Thank you for being part of our growing community. Throughout Scripture, God repeatedly addresses human fear with reassurance rather than condemnation. In John chapter 14, Jesus tells his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." He says this just before his crucifixion, in a moment of extreme uncertainty and anxiety. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus urges his followers not to worry about tomorrow, emphasizing trust over fear. Apostle Paul writes to Timothy that God has not given us a spirit of fear, the power of grace, love, and self-discipline. The Psalms also echo this theme with emotional honesty. Psalm 23 expresses confidence even in the valley of the shadow of death. Psalm 46 calls us to be still and know that God is present, even when the world feels unstable. Psalm 56 openly acknowledges fear, yet proclaims trust in God as a purposeful choice. Now, these passages show that fear is acknowledged, not dismissed, and that trust is practiced and not guaranteed. Scripture does not promise a fearless life, but it consistently offers guidance about fearful moments. At the heart of the gospel is the message that we are not alone in uncertainty. The life and teachings of Jesus reveal compassion for human weakness and courage rooted in love. Fear narrows our vision, faith expands it. Even for those who approach life from a universal values perspective, these teachings emphasize courage, responsibility, and hope. Trust, whether expressed as faith in God or commitment to deeply held values, stabilizes us when outcomes remain unclear. I don't believe I'm hedging my bets here, God or values. I do believe in a power greater than me, and it gives further meaning to the values I hold as expressed through scriptural teachings. The gospel invites us to move forward with humility rather than control. It reminds us that fear does not disqualify us from meaningful action. Instead, it becomes the place where trust is practiced and character is formed. Now, this wisdom transcends religious boundaries, offering a framework for ethical decision making, resilience, or purpose driven living. In everyday life, fear shows up in conversations we avoid, changes we delay, and opportunities we decline. Fear is frequently the elephant in the room. Scripture reminds us that courage is often quiet and ordinary. It enables us to make the right choice despite uncertainty. So, whether navigating career transitions, financial decisions, or personal relationships, applying this wisdom leads to steadier choices rooted in trust rather than reaction. In business, fear often appears as hesitation, over-planning, or avoidance. The scripture encourages discernment rather than paralysis. Trusting God or one's positive values does not remove responsibility. It clarifies it. Leaders who act out of fear create instability, while leaders who act out of trust cultivate confidence. In the workplace, choosing integrity over anxiety builds credibility over time. Now, as you listen to this podcast, consider these questions gently and honestly. Where does fear most often show up in your daily decisions and mine? What choice are you delaying because the outcome feels uncertain? Which scripture or value or guiding principle could anchor you in that moment? Reflection is not about self criticism, but about awareness. Fear becomes manageable when it is named, examined, and placed within a larger context of trust and purpose. This week, choose one situation where fear has been quietly influencing your choices. Pause, acknowledge it, and reflect on the words, "Do not be afraid." Take one small, intentional step aligned with trust rather than anxiety. Let scripture, faith, or your deepest values guide that help. Courage grows through practice, and each faithful choice strengthens the next. You are not required to see the entire path, only to take the next step with trust. I'm Richard Fontanie, and let's meet again next week when we will explore growing in God's time, a journey of personal and spiritual maturity. See you then, if not before. Bye now.